1. Hello.
Hello. Not one half of a barbershop quartet.
No, I don't
More
think
like
we have
cut
very
our
good,
heads off. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't think we have very good harmonies. Although we have
Only-
very good chemistry.
Yeah, exactly. So in a way, ebony and ivory.
So we come together to bring you this. 3, 2, 1. Well, thank you, Atlanta. You held on to win over Carolina, 29-21. The final score. It is the Week 14 recap here on the Audible. Footballguys.com. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom, Matt Ryan, 190, 1 touchdown on the day. Russell Gage with 4 for 64. Kyle Pitts, 5 for 61. The touchdown goes to Hayden Hurst. Nobody started him. You started Cordero Patterson, 16 for 58 and a touchdown. Mike Davis, 11 for 44 on the ground, and then 5 for 42 as a receiver. So what's interesting, Patterson, 2 catches for 1 yard. But look at this box score, Bloom. They're not using Cordell Patterson as a receiver. And he's, I don't know, he's athlete, right? He's whatever you want him to be. And then Mike Davis gets 5 catches. And the guy who's like the bulky running back. So either way, here you go. Carolina kind of fought back a little bit, as much as they can. But Atlanta shuts the door.
Yeah, they shut the door. Real quick, Cease, I'm going to do something today. There was such a beautiful moving tributes to Demaryius Thomas in Denver today.
Yeah.
And one of my followers on Twitter pointed out that we always talk about when players come up short for fantasy. You know, we're analyzing and overanalyzing them. We don't talk enough about the players that are good human beings, as good human beings. So today, for every game, I'm going to mention, because it came out this week, the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominees for each team. Mike Davis and DJ Moore. So, you know, guys we're very familiar with. Atlanta staying alive in this one. 6 wins means you're still alive. 9 wins will get you to the playoffs in the NFC. Russell Gage was hot early, and then Carolina's quarterback play was so bad that Atlanta could just lean on the running game. You did see Kyle Pitts get enough. Mike Davis did enough in the passing game. You saw Cordell Patterson look good early as a runner, and then they rested him. So really it's on Cam Newton and P.J. Walker that Patterson wasn't a bigger play this week in the running game. But like you said, he's more of a runner than a receiver for them, and it's working out just fine for fantasy. They're still alive. Going to San Francisco, playing another team that is technically still alive. But geez, all this talk means not that necessarily there's a quarterback they're going to go after next year, but they're probably not going to be in position to get quarterback 1 with their 6th win of the year. Yeah,
and I will say this. There is a lot of self-righteous bastards in the NFL, and hell in the NFL media as well. I'm the greatest because of this. Look at me. DT was one of the good guys. I got some thoughts on DT. I'll get to a little bit later. Having been around, I was the first person in Denver to interview him in person at Radio City Music Hall. So I like that idea, Bloom. Let's emphasize the positive.
Yeah.
With Carolina, the positives are, I mean, Cam's out there trying to throw it. 178, no touchdowns and a pick. 10 for 47 and a rushing touchdown. Does the Superman, which that's a positive. Yeah. Robbie Anderson gets 7 for 84 and a touchdown. That's a positive. But it's from P.J. Walker, who was 1 up and 1 down, 1 touchdown, 1 INT today. And DJ Moore, 6 for 84. Brandon Zylstra, part of the Flying Zylstras, 2 Zylstras in the league, Bloom, 4 for 45. And then Chuba Hubbard, 10 for 33 and a rushing touchdown. So we're going to emphasize the positives. There's just not a lot with Carolina.
No, there's not. I mean, it isn't working. Cam Newton had a good first drive and then threw a pick 6 where he just didn't see Michael Walker moving back from the line and dropping into coverage. Then he was benched. Then he was back in. Then he had a really terrible fumble. He was tripped over his lineman. He was falling over. Eventually, he got benched again. Got benched twice in a game, Cease. Is that positive? I don't know. It's kind of remarkable. Chuba Hubbard did get a touchdown when the game was really out of hand. DJ Moore produced but got hurt. Played through it, but we'll see. You know, you see guys play through stuff on Sundays and then not be available the next week. Cease, when he was going into the injury tent, they dropped it on his head. The injury tent hurt him. The injury tent. That's the kind of year it's been. And our man John Shipley covers the Jags, does a great job doing that. Said it was the most accurate thing thrown at him all year. And then you had Robbie Anderson get a garbage time score. So if Moore is out next week, maybe there's something there with Anderson. He got it from Walker, so there's chemistry there if they do make a quarterback change. But you know, this team is kind of in no man's land, and they're going to Buffalo. next week, the McDermott Bowl. So, yeah, this is not working out. Matt Rule, not working out. The quarterback situation, not working out. There's not a lot of positive here.
Not a lot of positive, but there's always positives with Cleveland. Well, maybe not, but at least there was today, right? 24-22, and they get that win over Baltimore. You love to see it if you're a Browns fan. The Ravens side, we have a lot to get to, but 24-22, the final score. Cleveland 7-6, Baltimore is 8-5, and Tyler Huntley is in. I imagine on the Waiver Wire show we'll be talking about him. Depends on what you know about Lamar Jackson, Bloom. But Jackson out with injury, ankle, correctly?
Yeah.
270, one touchdown for Tyler Huntley, who's not a bad quarterback, not a bad runner, certainly. And it's always, I wanted to make fun of Drew Lock's stands today when Huntley came in and he looked good and just be like, but he just missed out on 1 million reps. And he just, I mean, if he doesn't practice, how do you, if you could play, you can play. And Tyler Huntley can play. Okay. Like no doubt, no question. And he can run that damn offense. Like they don't have to change a thing. He's not as good as Lamar Jackson, but very few are. But Huntley's out there slinging it, doing his best. Going to Mark Andrews, you love seeing that, Bloom.
Right.
Like right away, as soon as Huntley comes in, it's like Mandrews. 11 targets, 11 catches, 115 yards, 1 touchdown. Rashad Bateman, it's finally there. 7 for 103. Marquise Brown, 5 for 41. Okay. But with Bateman, it's there. Andrews shows up in a big way. Devontae Freeman running it. Latavius Murray gets a rushing touchdown. Freeman was 64 yards rushing. Huntley himself, 45 yards rushing. So they didn't win. But if Huntley has to be pressed into further duty, Bloom, it's not disaster for Baltimore.
Yeah, first things first, Bradley Bozeman, offensive lineman, Baltimore's nominee, and Denzel Ward for Cleveland, Walter Payton, Man of the Year nominee. So a costly loss for Baltimore, but they are already to 8 wins because of all those cardiac wins they got earlier. Again, 10 wins is going to get you in the AFC. Now, you look at the rest of their schedule, and next week against Green Bay, there's no gimmies left on the schedule, but like you said, with Tyler Huntley, you don't feel like it's a total lost cause if Lamar doesn't play. In fact, he had one frantic comeback against Chicago and almost made this one work. Little did we know on Thursday night, Cease, that near frantic comeback by the Steelers, it was a bit of a theme in the early games in this one, in these seemingly boring until the end games of week 14. Not much offense early, even when Lamar Jackson was in. Then he gets hurt. He was ruled out. I don't think we're going to see him next week against Green Bay. You did see, so Tyler Huntley comes in, Myles Garrett makes the play of the day, strips the ball, follows the bouncing ball, picks it up, goes into the end zone, first touchdown of his career, and close the door. No. Tyler Huntley says no. And Tyler Huntley looks for Rashad Bateman, who had a new agent and got a lot more work this week. Sets up a Latavius Murray touchdown. Getting a new agent, maybe it means something. And by the way, speaking of agents, Tyler Huntley and his agent made a great choice when they were undrafted and went to Baltimore. Know the team that fits your game. That's Tyler Huntley's game. And like you said, feeding Andrews, not so much Marquise Brown. And you saw the deep ball. Tyler Huntley's not really a strength for him. It's okay. The legs and making 4th down completions. He had 4 4th down completions in this game. So these are all things. He made tens of millions of dollars this year in these games because a lot of teams would love to have someone like Tyler Huntley coming off their bench. Baltimore does. They need to win games to make the playoffs, but this team does know how to win the games when they're back against the wall. They also don't need to rush back Lamar Jackson, which gives them a better chance of going deep in the playoffs if they do make the playoffs. Again, that Green Bay game next week is going to be tough with or without Lamar Jackson. This one, though, was a bigger one for Cleveland, who now feels like they control their own destiny, at least in terms of making it to the playoffs.
Early games.
Yeah.
Except this game. This game was fun. Baker the Baby Maker had 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT, and then 14 yards rushing, if that counts. And it does. It should. 17 for 59. Nick Chubb on the ground, 3 for 6 as a receiver. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 5 for 90. Jarvis Landry, 5 for 41 and a touch. Austin Hooper. How many tight end problems did they have? What? Harrison Bryant with the ankle, David Njoku on the COOF list, Bloom, I believe, top of my head. So it's all Austin Hooper. Fine. 5 for 30 and a touchdown. Okay, there you go. And it was enough to get it done, although it did get a little close.
It did. You saw good things here for Cleveland. Baker Mayfield looking a lot better in this game. The bye, I think, was everything for him, taking all those injuries, suffering. Jarvis Landry scores a touchdown after a Donovan Peoples-Jones big play. Austin Hooper scores a touchdown after a Donovan Peoples-Jones big play. So you see the theme here. Odell, who they don't need him. And also, this is Baltimore secondary, by the way, problems. I think one pass interference penalty also set up a field goal. So you see how breakdowns in the secondary or losing in the secondary, leading to some points. Baker Mayfield playing well enough to take advantage of it. Then he had a bad interception. Then Kareem Hunt gets hurt in this game. Dearness Johnson still looks good. Nick Chubb, that's one thing Baltimore's defense did well against Cleveland. They corralled Nick Chubb. And really, Cleveland hung on for dear life in this one. They did get the win. They're at 7 wins. They got Vegas next week, so hopefully you build some momentum here. They still have to play Green Bay, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati after that, but they control their own destiny. Again, 10 wins. They're at 7, 4 games left. Everyone's leveled up now. All the bye weeks are behind us. If they can win 3 out of these 4, well, they deserve to go to the playoffs.
That is what I would call double true. What does Seattle deserve? What does Russell Wilson deserve? These are all questions as we transition to Seattle and Texans of Houston, 33-13, the final score. Russell Wilson, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INT, 1 touchdown to Tyler Lockett. He did everything, 5 for 142 and a touch. And then Gerald Everett, 2 for 15 and a touchdown there. DK Metcalf, 4 for 43. You should be expecting lower levels of production for Metcalf if you're starting him. Hey, I got D. Estridge as a what the heck flex. Nothing. Okay. No. Hey, they're going to go Alex Collins. I do believe reports, and I can dig the reports up, Bloom, on our newswire from this week. It was, reports coming in. Hey, Alex Collins going to get all the work. In fact, that was on Saturday. On Saturday, I wrote about this. This is from the Seattle News Tribune, not throwing them under the bus, but this is just what the word was. Alex Collins will be the team's lead back. And he's not on the injury report, even though he had the abdomen injury. And then Rashad Penny had 16 for 137 and 2 touchdowns, just like we drew it up. So Alex Collins had 7 for 16 in this one. Nobody else did much of anything else, but this Penny thing with me, Bloom, it's always like, can it last? And with Rashad Penny, I'll say no. So you might be chasing a ghost if you get Rashad Penny in your lineup.
Probably, right? I mean, he sets a career high across the board. By the way, Tyler Lockett for Seattle, Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee, and Justin Reed, excellent safety for Houston. Eric Reed's brother, I think. I could be wrong there. Anyway, it was Rashad Penny. And he wasn't the only Penny to score today. So that's the kind of day it was. It's just one of those things, Cease. It's kind of like a simulation machine. If you run it enough times, eventually everything will happen once, right? Rashad Penny, big game. That's what we got today. 2 long touchdown runs. It wasn't like he was an efficient runner, but he broke those big runs. So a little glimpse of maybe what the Seahawks saw when they took him in the first round before he goes off to do whatever he's going to do. But it was Tyler Lockett, and classic Tyler Lockett. You know, Russell Wilson throwing a big looping deep ball and Tyler Lockett running under it, or Russell Wilson throwing one that when you let it go, it looks like he's just throwing it away. Oh, but there's Tyler Lockett running under it, like Willie Mays catching a ball in center field. So good old days there. Didn't quite work with DK Metcalf. You did have a score to Gerald Everett. And let me tell you, even when Gerald Everett scores, it's painful. He's falling down. The ball's getting knocked out of his hand right at the goal line. But it counted. So they did get a redemption touchdown of sorts for him. This game was pretty close for a while. Seattle out of it, like you said, we think to Russell Wilson's future. Well, I say they're out of it, but I guess if they win out at 5 wins now, you never know. Rams, Chicago, Detroit, Arizona. They'd have to win on the road against the Rams and Arizona. Still, that's who they have next week, by the way. They travel to the Rams. It was a little bit of a moment of glory for Wilson and Lockett, of course, at the Texans' expense.
Yeah, Davis Mills' expense. Was it the Bill Burr memes floating around? Like, congratulations on Bill Burr for starting for the Texans. Right. But Davis Mills, 331, 1 touchdown in this one, and Brandon Cooks came through. So, and usually he kind of does Bloom to the expected level. But today at 8 for 101 in this game, it was Brevin Jordan. There's a dynasty name to know, or hell, Bloom, maybe even now for your playoff run if you're hurting a tight end. Brevin Jordan. Just keep an eye on that. So 1 touchdown, 4 for 26 in this one. Nico Collins, remember him, 5 for 69. Royce Freeman, 6 for 51. Good job, Royce. Rex Burkhead, 11 for 40 to lead the way on the ground. So it's not like this team, doesn't have some players or some names you would recognize. It's just all about coming together. And, Hell, I think at this point, Davis Mills has almost had as many starts as he did in Stanford. The number was 11. I know he's not at 11, but Bloom, that's what we're dealing. We're dealing with one of the most inexperienced quarterbacks in terms of college starts to ever come into the league with any sort of expectations.
Yeah, and he looked pretty good in this one. He started out the game 14 for 14 and for 151, not just dinking and dunking. Enough ceased to make me look up the record. By the way, it's Phillip Rivers with 25 completions to open a game. Before that, it was Mark Brunell with 22. He was pretty good. Seattle's pass defense not so good. And by the way, Brandon Cooks had an almost touchdown, just short of the goal line. Rex Burkhead got hurt, and they kept calling him Rex Burkhart. Come on. And yeah, you saw Nico Collins getting some things done. Brevin Jordan, as we've talked about, your dynasty futures there. Houston against Jacksonville, Cease. You're going to have to go to one of those eye washes whenever you watch that game. You get all the poison out of there.
Right, go to the station, right?
Yeah.
Flush the eyes. It stings the nostrils. I think we can do this game in one take, Bloom.
Okay.
Because who the hell wants to talk about the Raiders?
Oy.
I mean, outside of our man pot stoner degenerate Jason up there in Greeley, but like 48-9 Chiefs over the Raiders, and the Chiefs, they're rolling. I'll go through it and then let's talk about it. But Derek Carr, 263, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. Hunter Renfrow, 13 for 117 and 1 touchdown. Very good. They don't run the ball. Josh Jacobs, 9 for 24. And he had 5 for 46 as a receiver. You started him. That'll help in PPR league. Zay Jones, 5 catches, 25 yards. Okay. Brian Edwards, 2 catches, 24 yards. Foster Moreau, 3 for 13. Just not much here. And then on the Chiefs side, it was 3 rushing touchdowns.
Are you a running back?
Right. Are you a running back? You will score. Derek Gore, 9 for 66 and a touch. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, 10 for 37 and 2 touchdowns. It was Darrell Williams with the receiving touchdown. And then Josh Gordon got a touchdown there as well. Finally, you put the chips on 0-0, and it finally hit.
Right.
And it will never hit again. Tyreek Hill, 4 for 76. Got a little banged up in this one, Bloom. Let me know what you know about that. Mahomes, 258 and 2, if I didn't already say that. But it was 48-9. Kansas City gets that win. You're like, oof, this one was ugly.
Oof. Darren Waller, that's a heartwarming, right? Darren Waller, Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee, and Terran Matthew from New Orleans' own 7th Ward, right down the street here. Leonard Fournette and Matthew, pride of the 7th Ward. First 48-9 game in NFL history. Have you heard of Scorigami?
No, I haven't.
Look, we searched for scores that have never happened in NFL history. We got one today, 48-9. You got to be as bad as the Raiders were today to make that score happen. So enjoy that. David. See, it makes me think of David Carr when I think of Derek Carr. We were just talking about the Texans. It was terrible. The Kansas City defense is on fire. Multiple takeaways and 5 straight games now. Josh Jacobs puts the ball on the carpet to open the game. Return for a touchdown, and that was pretty much how this afternoon was going to go. You did see Hunter Renfrow, first Raider since the merger to have 8 or more catches, 100 or more yards in 3 straight games. So a lot of great players have played at wide receiver for the Raiders, but he's the first to do it. Foster Moreau, well, we've kind of moved on from him. And again, the Raiders move on to Cleveland next week, and just from a rooting interest, because the Raiders sure look dead in the water. If they win out, they could make the playoffs. This team's not going to win out. And you saw Darrell Williams. Mahomes was slinging it. Again, not so much the deep game, but Darrell Williams, that nice swing pass he took in. Josh Gordon touchdown. See, can we just take a moment to say, hey, I know for fantasy he's a punchline. Again, what's the theme of the day with Demaryius Thomas, right? Josh Gordon at Demaryius Thomas level physical talent. There aren't many. There haven't been many to come this way.
No.
He's back in the NFL. He's making a paycheck, working for a football team. He's scoring a touchdown. The team is going to go to the playoffs. He can contribute. That's a good thing. Let's be happy for him.
Yeah,
right?
and if he's staying clean, and that's the thing. When Josh Gordon got through all this, and everybody's like, "How are you addicted to marijuana?" I'm like, "Okay, that's from Half Baked, and it's kind of funny." But when it's in real life, I just want him to be okay. If he's got demons or addictions, and I don't care what it is, I don't care if it's wine or marijuana or
whatever,
crack
overworking,
or whatever.
Exercising too much,
sex addiction, whatever.
Right.
Just be healthy. Please be healthy out there.
Yeah, balance.
Sorry, Joe. Do I have to say sorry, Joe, for a sex addiction?
Don't know. No. We're adults here. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire could have done more if the game hadn't gotten out of hand. That's when Derek Gore comes in. So Kelsey, back-to-back 3 for 27s. He's due. It's coming against the Chargers. Chargers next week, by the way. Herbert against Mahomes. Maybe we'll get to see that one a third time this year.
That is a tease. I think you can do this 1-1 as well because it's New Orleans and the Jets. Okay, so it's not Benny and the Jets. It's New Orleans and the Jets, and it's not good. 30-9 is the final score. Taysom Hill, 175 as a passer. It just looks so ugly when he throws. But from a fantasy perspective, he's a quarterback one. Yes. Okay, we get it. Yes. 2 rushing touchdowns for Taysom Hill, 73 yards on the ground. Alvin Kamara, 27 for 120 and 1 touchdown. Please don't let us have to pass. Alvin Kamara, here's 27 carries, 1 touchdown. Kamara also 4 for 25 as a receiver. Nick Vannett leads the way. It tells you everything you need to know about the passes. 3 for 44. Marcus Callaway, 2 for 34. Traquan Smith never does anything, 3 for 33. Juwan Johnson, 1 for 15. So Hill, through his struggles, still does plenty enough for this team to win, does it with his legs. Speaking of with his legs, Zach Wilson, the leading rusher for the Jets, 4 for 33, but 202 on that side. Braxton Berrios, 6 for 52. I remember guys drooling over him at the Senior Bowl. I was like, yeah, he's all right. He's all right. Ty
he's
Johnson,
no Danny Amendola.
4 for 40, exactly. Texas versus the nation. Ty Johnson, 4 for 40. DJ McGuire. Why am I reading this? Jamison Crowder, 3 for 19. Sure. Right? Yeah. There you go. Yeah. And Denzel, they might use more Denzel Mims. No. A target, penalties. 0 catches. He needs to go somewhere else. But anyway,
exactly.
1 failed swoop, Bloom, because this was not a good game.
No. Cameron Jordan, everybody loves him. He's always on a float during Mardi Gras season. You always get to see Cameron. Maybe you can catch beads from Cameron Jordan. Got beads from Manny Fresh once. Look it up. A big New Orleans guy. By the way, it's New Orleans, right?
Did Cameron miss this game? Right?
He did. First game of his career.
First game out of like 270 or whatever.
First game of his career he missed. And Quinnen Williams, budding superstar, secret superstar there, just secret because it's the Jets. This game was as bad as you would have thought. You did have Alvin Kamara running, and that's good. That's good for your Kamara teams. And Taysom Hill, and for the second straight week, just a ludicrous touchdown. It was Deontay Harris with a long touchdown last week from Hill when the game was basically out of hand. This one, there was less than 2 minutes left. The game was decided. The game was over. And you have 44-yard touchdown run. So if you played Taysom Hill, you were right. But this is very reminiscent of Tim Tebow's cease, where just somehow, some way, there can only be 3 or 4 good plays, but that amounts to a good fantasy start for Taysom Hill, and we don't even care about the passing game. And New Orleans is still alive. Look, as of today, a 6-win team, a 6-7 team would make the playoffs in the NFC. Okay, why not the Saints? They're going to Tampa Bay next week. That's a team they know how to play. They're not dead. For the Jets, here's how I went for the Jets. Austin Walter, Mike LaFleur told the CBS crew, Austin Walter's going to start this game. Didn't even play. He was sick. Illness. Did not play. He was supposed to start at running back. Ty Johnson had some drops. Who's the answer with no Elijah Moore? Nobody. Zach Wilson had 10 off-target throws today, 10. The most he's had all year. He wasn't even the worst rookie quarterback today. Jets play Miami next week.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the worst rookie quarterback who was taken number 1 overall. Oh, my God. And the reports came out like Urban Meyer might be 1 and done. I was like, please let him be 1. Please, and someone say
he should have been 0 and done.
Yeah, it should have been.
I'm going to invent a time machine so we can go back and talk Shad Khan out of hiring Urban Meyer.
And we do have avenues to do that, Bloom. That's a little wink. But yeah, I mean, Urban Meyer's god awful, and I hope maybe Trevor Lawrence never turns into anything, but I just hope someone gets a chance to try to pull it out of him. I mean, a fantastic college quarterback who should have been more than what he's doing this season. And again, you did scoregami. How about Audible Agami? Like, when's the last time we did 3 one-take games in a row? But that's what's going to happen because it's Jaguars and Tennessee. 20-0, Titans get the win. Trevor Lawrence, 24-40, 221 yards, no touchdowns, 4 INTs. Sacked 3 times. And the INTs, tips and overthrows, Bloom, we got to get those. But some of these picks that he's been throwing this entire season, it's just, you shouldn't do that. Like, you should have seen that. You should have anticipated that. What's wrong with you, Trevor Lawrence? And I say that as someone who, thought he was a generational talent. Now, he still could be. I'm not writing him off or whatever. But, you want to see those flashes, Bloom.
No.
We've seen none of that. Marvin Jones Jr., 6 for 70. Laquan Treadwell, 4 for 68. Visca, 4 for 34. There's just nothing here. James Robinson, nothing. Ryan Tannehill, 191 on this one. Jeff Swain was their leading receiver. I think Anthony Ferkser could have had a touchdown, but he's out of bounds. Bloom, is that right? Back in the end zone. 4 for 34. Julio Jones, he's their number one receiver. He's blah, blah, blah. 4 for 33. So if you start him as a flex play, I guess you're happy with that 7.3 points, but whatever. Tannehill, a rushing touchdown, and Dante Foreman, 47, and a rushing touchdown there as well. So Tennessee gets the easy win, and there's a lot of concerns with Jacksonville.
Yeah, Miles Jack and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, Walter Payton Man of the Year. Lots of the year awards for him. Jacksonville has just risen to the level or dropped to the level of slapstick at this point. They just don't want to play for Urban Meyer anymore. That's what this game spelled out. It was a code, the first letter of every play call spelled out. We don't want to play for Urban Meyer anymore.
Blink twice if you're in trouble.
Yeah. So, you hope Trevor Lawrence gets a chance to play in a functional organization. I thought, after I saw Rashad Penny score and Josh Gordon, I was like, Laquan Treadwell, this is his afternoon. Well, I mean, he was like 4 for 60 or whatever he did. The Chenault had a drop that turned into a pick. There was a point where 2 Jags receivers ran into each other. Slapstick. Jimmy Smith on Twitter. Bad wide receiver coaching. Urban Meyer doesn't even really. It was one of the coldest handshakes with Mike Vrabel after the game. You could just see. I want to say his soul was taken, but I don't think he had a soul when he showed up in Jacksonville. Shad Khan, This is on you. Houston, Jacksonville again next week. Dante Foreman, the most touches, but not truly a bell cow back. You saw some touches here for Hilliard. You saw some touches here for Jeremy McNichols. So still, Foreman's a running back to playing the Steelers next week, by the way. Tannehill, I mean, again, this passing game, they didn't need to really stretch it out. Julio Jones, he didn't get hurt. Didn't have a big fantasy game, but didn't get hurt. We'll see if he can start to contribute more of what they had hoped for. And here's the thing about this Tennessee team, again, playing at Pittsburgh next week. They got 9 wins, so really they're probably in the playoffs, okay? And this is kind of like one of those war campaigns. There's a lot about football and war that overlap, right? Where you have supplies up ahead, or you have a cavalry coming to meet you up ahead. If you can just make it to the next stop. Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, maybe Golden Tate getting integrated into things. This could be a really special team, and it's a team that knows how to survive, but they didn't have to do much to win today.
And who wants to face them?
Nobody.
If they're at full strength, nobody. What are you drinking today, Bloom?
Still working on that underground Mountain Brown. It's good. It's Founders. I mean, I'll drink anything that Founders puts out.
Founders All Day IPA.
Yeah.
I do. My Final Fantasy take is sponsored by Founders, Bloom. That's funny.
It's really everything there is absolutely delicious.
Okay, absolutely delicious was this game. Dallas Cowboys, Washington football team, and we knew going in. I think I even said it in the preview. Like, this is going to be the game of the morning. Ravens Browns was fun, but this one was 27-20. Defensive plays. Heineke getting just beat to hell.
Yeah.
Standing in there trying to make something happen. Antonio Gibson fumbling and stumbling and. Well, let's start with the Cowboys side. Dak Prescott, 22 of 39, 211 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs. CeeDee Lamb, 7 for 61. Michael Gallup, 5 for 60. Amari Cooper, 5 for 51. And there's that touchdown. Dalton Schultz, 1 for 4. Ezekiel Elliott, 12 for 45. Okay. No Tony Pollard. So Corey Clement, 13 for 44. Okay. So Dallas wins, but there's some stumbling blocks here we got to talk about.
Yeah, and this was the other game in the early games where Dallas was just dominating this game and somehow let Washington back in. Dak Prescott, by the way, the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee, which really says a lot when the quarterback gives up himself to the community.
Right.
So, yeah, and Jonathan Allen. Dak threw a bad pick early. He did throw a touchdown to Cooper. You saw Tyron Smith get hurt in this game. That's not good. Gets banged up. And then as they're cruising into the victory, like hand the ball off, they just do a little rollout pass. Dak, there was a pick six. When it's 27-14 with about 4 minutes left. Pick six to Cole Holcomb. Now we got a game, everybody, and they have to punt the ball away. Not much help from the running game here. Ezekiel Elliott does not look right. He's got a knee brace on. Does not look like Zeke. Actually, Corey Clement was getting more touches in the second half. Zeke did come back in later. From a fantasy standpoint, Dak's just not doing it. He's just not playing his top football right now. He's playing his C- football right now. And when they need him, hey, if this team gets Dak with their A game, they can win the Super Bowl. For fantasy, you're still going to play Lamb and Cooper and probably Gallup, even though, again, it didn't really come together for this one. Not Dalton Schultz, though. You can see he's outside of our circle of trust when they have everybody all hands on deck except for Tony Pollard. So, look, Dallas is going to cruise. Maybe they could even be the number 1 seed because, well, they're an NFC East team with an NFC East schedule. But Dak Prescott's play is the question mark here. What's not the question is the defense. The Dallas Cowboys team led by the defense that closed the door just whenever the offense let them back in.
Leading the way with their defense, just like Jerry planned, right? My defense, my Micah Parsons there. Taylor Heineke got the hell beat out of him. Whew. I mean, 4 sacks. How many quarterback hits? I'm looking at nine times. I mean, just absolute hell rained down on Taylor Heineke today, and he stood in there as much as he could. Kyle Allen got in this game. Heineke 122, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. Kyle Allen 53 yards, no touchdowns, no INTs. Jonathan Williams. What a story with Jonathan Williams. College teammate of Alex Collins. I always thought he was a good back. He gets called up and he scores a touchdown today. Nobody started him, of course, but just it's interesting, the story and the path of Jonathan Williams. If you loved Kyle Sloter in Denver, the reason why they didn't keep Kyle Sloter is because they were able to get Jonathan Williams.
Ooh.
And he was there for like 10 weeks and didn't do anything. Cam Sims, 3 for 69, and hell yeah, he scored that touchdown, right?
Yeah.
Yes. He went, he's like, yo, I scored. I got it. Remarkable play. Amazing play there. We look at Terry McLaurin, 4 targets, no catches. So this one was tough, man. Tough all the way around. Antonio Gibson, like I said, 36 yards on the ground, gives up that fumble. Like it was pretty rough, pretty ugly day for Washington in a game. Like you said, they were in it.
They were in it in the end. And in fact, there was an Antonio Gibson fumble in this one when they were just starting to get on the comeback trail. We didn't see as much of him. Like you said, we're talking about Jonathan Williams, not Antonio Gibson scoring the touchdown here. Taylor Heineke getting beat up by this Dallas defensive line. Let me tell you, Micah Parsons, forget about defensive rookie of the year, defensive player of the year. They traded down and still got him. He just looks unstoppable right now. Randy Gregory, talk about redemption stories on this day, Cease.
Right.
Randy Gregory, one of the best interceptions you'll ever see. I don't care the position. Tipping the ball up in the air, tracking it, doing basically a 180 on the ground to track it. And it looked like Dallas had this game in hand, but you saw that amazing touchdown from Cam Sims. Terry McLaurin laying out for a ball, getting a concussion. And then Allen comes in. Allen has a fumble problems, but they still keep hanging around. Allen actually put the ball, it was 24-22. Allen put the ball on DeAndre Carter. He put it right on him. Carter dropped it. It was there. It was there for Washington to come back and win this game. Again, Dallas, on one hand, the defense made them dominant for part of this game. On the other hand, it was there. It was there. Washington's still alive. Look, they're still alive. Washington and Philadelphia both have 6 wins. 9 wins will get you in the playoffs. I think they play each other twice. If you could sweep the series, you got a good chance. This team is not dead. And they had to get up off the deck, so they understand that. Again, Philadelphia, Washington next week could actually be a good game, maybe.
Maybe. We'll see. Bloom, I really like the Chargers jerseys today.
Yeah.
I know some people are like, the powder blues. Yes, the powder blues are classic and the best jersey of all time, but the jerseys the Chargers wore today, pretty damn cool, and their results were pretty damn hot. 37-21, the final score. Chargers over the Giants. The Mike Glennon show continues, and you'll want to change the channel. 191, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT in this one. Kyle Rudolph, 2 for 66. So Saquon Barkley with the receiving touchdown, 31 yards receiving, 64 yards rushing on the day. The other receiving touchdown went to Elijah Penny. Not the only Penny. There was your teaser for the day. Sterling Shepard, 2 for 27. Kenny Golladay, 2 for 15. Devontae Booker, lots of Devontae Booker today. 4 for 28 as a receiver, 8 for 56 as a runner. By the way, Glennon had a rushing touchdown. I doubt anyone started him, but this is kind of what you got with the Giants.
Yeah.
It's a big old mess.
It is a mess, absolute mess here. Logan Ryan and Corey Linsley, your Walter Payton Man of the Year nominees from this game. Kyle Rudolph had a 60-yard catch in this game, and that was basically the Giants' offense until the game was totally out of hand. That was it. And then you saw there was a point. Danny Kelly, loved Danny Kelly pointing this stuff out. Elijah Penny, there was a point that the only players that had scored like in the last 4 games for the Giants touchdowns, Andrew Thomas, Chris Myrick, and Elijah Penny, and that's it. Then eventually Saquon Barkley got a garbage time touchdown. And like you said, Glennon got one. Okay, so Barkley bailed you out with a garbage time touchdown. This is bad. Anything short of sweeping the deck, and that includes Joe Judge, will be a disappointment if you're a Giants fan. And start over, including Daniel Jones. And it's kind of like Trevor Lawrence. Let him get another chance somewhere else. Mitchell Trubisky. Let's see what happens. Dallas is coming next week to play the Giants.
Let's talk about the Chargers side. And Justin Herbert with 3 touchdowns, no INTs in this one. Jalen Guyton, 3 for 87. Josh Palmer, 5 for 66 and a touchdown. Mike Williams, 6 for 61. And then Jared Cook, 2 for 8 and 1 touchdown there as well. So without Keenan Allen in this one, and then Mike Williams was able to play, we're like, okay, watch out for guys like Josh Palmer, Jalen Guyton. They came through, which is good. Austin Eckler, a little bit banged up, but he still had 12 for 67 and a rushing touchdown and 2 for 17 as a receiver. And they were rolling outside of those 14 points in garbage time, Bloom. Like, they were just absolutely rolling. And this is what they can be. Now, I know it's the Giants, but if this team gets hot, we are dealing with so many teams, Bloom. Think about that. We are dealing with so many teams. Cowboys, we talked about. Titans, we talked about. Chargers, we are talking about.
The whole team, the whole NFL.
The whole NFL.
I mean, every team that's going to make the playoffs.
If they get hot, they can win it all. So if the Chargers get hot, watch out.
Yeah, watch out. It's kind of like hockey reference incoming, Cease. The goalies in the NHL. If you get a hot goalie, you can ride your goalie all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. You get a hot quarterback. You get a hot quarterback. In this tournament this year, you get a hot quarterback. You can ride that quarterback all the way. Lots of debate this week. Should you pick up Jalen Guyton? Should you pick up Josh Palmer? Both. Either. The point is getting Justin Herbert. There's that Underground Mountain Brown. Justin Herbert in your lineup through those wide receivers. And Mike Williams was okay too. Austin Eckler got banged up in this one. I think it's Justin Jackson over Joshua Kelly. Preview next week's waiver wire show if your waiver is still open in week 15. Not the tight ends, although Jared Cook did get, I think, his 45th touchdown catch, something like that, top 5 right now. But I'm just looking forward. And they got 8 wins. So let's just get 2 more wins out of these 4. Chargers, can you do that for us? Can we see Justin Herbert in the playoffs? They still have Kansas City, Denver, Vegas. The good news is, for those of us that want to see the Chargers in the playoffs, they are going to get Houston after they play Kansas City. So beat Houston in one of the other 3 games, and we can see Justin Herbert in the playoffs. Derwin James got a little banged up in this one, so you hate seeing that. But a good team takes care of business against bad teams. That's what they did. They play another good team, Kansas City, next week. Get out your popcorn.
That's right. Get out your popcorn for this one in overtime. San Francisco and Cincinnati, 26-23, the final score, and it was all about George Kittle. I mean, all about George Kittle.
Oh, man.
Jimmy Garoppolo throws for 300 yards, and half, Eddie, is to George Kittle. My God, 296 for Jimmy G. 2 touchdowns, no INTs. George Kittle, 13 for 151 and a touch. Let me say that again. 13 catches, 151 yards. And by the way, long of 21. So, usually there's a game like this, Bloom, where, we had that 90-yarder, and then the rest of it, whatever. No. Longest catch was 21 yards, 13 for 151 and a touch. He did it all. Brandon Ayuk chipped in a little bit, 6 for 62 and a touch. Debo was out there running 8 for 37 and a touchdown on the ground, 1 for 22 as a receiver. Debo, their version of Cordero Patterson, sure, I'll take it. Jeff Wilson, 13 for 56 in this one, so you didn't strike gold there. But if you had Kittle, you probably won because your other tight ends are scoring like
nothing.
7 points, right? Kittle comes through with a monster game to get the win. And is Kyle Shanahan a good coach? Yeah. Nobody's saying that anymore.
Yeah. Mark Andrews was right there with him. A good one with Tyler Huntley. Eric Armstead and Sam Hubbard, your Walter Payton Man of the Year nominees here. George Kittle, a Hall of Fame level performance. Like, you want to know what a Hall of Famer looks like? He even had an amazing sprawling catch, like put it in the Louvre kind of catch to set up a game-winning field goal attempt by Robbie Gould. Robbie Gould missed it, so Kittle just made some plays in overtime as Nick Bosa had a big sack in overtime. San Francisco controlled this game for most of it, but only because Cincinnati was so inept. I feel so bad for Bengals fans because the only thing in the way of Cincinnati is Cincinnati. That's it. But San Francisco, they made enough plays here. Jeff Wilson yielding some to Deebo Samuel. Yes, Deebo Samuel, kind of like Cordero Patterson, not being used as much as a receiver, still making it happen as a runner. A little more fragile of his value there. Ayuk with the walk-off touchdown. So Ayuk's value, and he almost had another touchdown. So his value is more stable now with Samuel's role being more in the backfield. Jeff Wilson, he's really just a what-the-heck flex desperation play. And Jimmy Garoppolo making it happen, and sees he needed a game like this.
Yes.
On the road.
Very much so.
Where he pulled the sword from the stone. He was not able to do it. Remember, on the Super Bowl run, when they lost to Kansas City, they didn't need him in the first 2 games. They didn't need a quarterback in those first 2 games. And then when they needed him, he missed Emmanuel Sanders. He makes the plays in this one with a lot of help from George Kittle. And San Francisco gets Atlanta. Look, this team, they got 7 wins, but they're basically in the playoffs. Okay, they got Atlanta next week. They just got to take care of business against teams they're better than, and they can make some noise. And we will see, again, that question of whether Kyle Shanahan is a good coach.
Bengals, are they a good team? Well, they got good assets. Joe Burrow, 25 of 34, 348 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. And all the touchdowns go to Jamar Chase, 5 for 77 and 2. It's back, but now with Morty Higgins, 5 for 114. CJ Uzoma, 4 for 56. There's a normal tight end type of day, right? Tyler Boyd, 4 for 55. You kind of expect that. Joe Mixon, 18 for 58 in this one. Samaje Perine, 4 for 11 on the ground, 4 for 22 as a receiver. So hard fought, takes it to overtime and falls short.
This team could not stop shooting themselves in the foot. Muffed punts, fumbles, taking field goals on 4th and short. Am I sure that Zach Taylor is a good coach? No. And just generally not attacking. You got Jamar Chase, you got T. Higgins. How are you not attacking the secondary of a team that just lost Emmanuel Mosley and also lost Dante Johnson for this game? But eventually they figured it out. Eventually, Jamar Chase, who also dropped a long touchdown, had another bad drop early in the game, had 2 magnificent touchdowns, amazing field awareness in the back of the end zone, a go route where Joe Burrow hits him. They take a 20-6 deficit in the 4th quarter, and they send it to overtime after Robbie Gould misses that field goal. And Joe Burrow, so, they're the plays they would like to have back, but Burrow, you can tell, he wants it on his shoulders in the 4th quarter. He wants it. Tom Brady kind of steely nerves from this guy, and you're in good hands, all right? Now they go down again. Nick Bosa with a big sack makes them settle for a field goal. They were able to move the ball in overtime. How many of these wins? The Green Bay, losses. How many of these losses? The one against the Chargers, where they can look back and say, if we could just flip this play, or flip this play, or flip this play. Now this team still controls their own destiny, just like Cleveland. However, and Joe Mixon not impressive in this one, so automatic start going forward, we'll see. But they do face Denver next week. We saw some cracks in that Denver run defense. Cincinnati, Denver, a quasi-playoff game, sees, because both of those teams playoff hopes, but if they can't win next week, they don't deserve to go.
Yes, and this one we're going to do in one take, Bloom, as well. Yeah. But it's Detroit and it's Denver. I am going to do my Demaryius Thomas remembrance because, like I said earlier in the show, this game is full of a lot of alohas. And just reverse engineer that word, I have to say it so I don't say sorry, Joe, and because of our YouTube overlords, demonetized. No, there's a lot of alohas in this league. Like a lot. Like a lot. There's a quarterback in hell. I'll just say who it was, Bloom. Tim Tebow wanted to charge his own teammates for jerseys for their charities. You know how guys have charities like, hey, can you get me an autographed jersey so I can give it away and raise money for my charity? And now he did give it to Tyler. And Tyler's told the story on air. That's why I can tell it. But he was like, well, usually I charge for these. Really? Okay, aloha. And that's like that's a mild story. All right. There's a lot of that out there. Very rarely do we find a good soul like that. Like we have with Demaryius Thomas. And I put that out on Twitter, that one of the kindest and gentlest souls that I've ever had the chance to be around. I was there every day for his Broncos career. I was in the locker room every day for his Broncos career. I was the first person every day. There you go. I should say that. Lighten the mood with some Vic Fangio.
Every day.
All right, coach.
Every day.
So with Demaryius Thomas, just gone too soon. I had the car accident in 2019, seizures on set because of that, and then the tragic passing at 33 years old, going to be 34 on Christmas. Couldn't make it to his kind of like celebration in the Jets game. What was that, week 3, Bloom? Couldn't make it to Denver because of health concerns. At the Hall of Fame, he had health concerns. When they put Peyton Manning into the Ring of Fame, it was actually Demaryius that was supposed to catch the pass. He threw one more pass at Mile High, and it went to Brandon Stokely, his best friend. But it was supposed to be Demaryius, but he couldn't do that because of health concerns. And we never knew anything about it. We never knew anything about it. Like guys like Stoke knew, but no one said anything. And he was always, I remember watching Bloom, and I'd talk about it on the show. Remember when I'd be like, DT can't move. We'd do the preview show on Thursday, right? Yeah. And I'd be like, I saw Demaryius at practice. He can't move. And on Sunday, he'd go have 100 yards. I mean, just a trooper, just a warrior, just, work ethic, sweetness, like literal sweet, like an actual nice, sweet, gentle human being. Very, very rare. I've told the story where, he had to deal with Tim Tebow or Kyle Orton or whatever. And then Manning comes in the very first practice with Peyton Manning. They run a route, first media session. We get to watch the whole practice. First throw of Peyton Manning in practice to Demaryius Thomas. It falls short. Manning says, run again. Comes back, runs it again. Same throw to Demaryius, falls short again. Peyton now, this is his second throw. He says, did I say blanking 25 or did I say blanking 22? Blanking, run it again. Sorry, Joe and YouTube. They run it again. Demaryius runs it at 22. It's right here. The pass hit him right here. That's how precise Peyton Manning was. Now, I've seen people, and well, much to the chagrin of our listeners, Bloom, people like Cody Latimer completely collapse with that type of pressure from Peyton Manning. Demaryius rose to the challenge. Very few people can do that. Very few people can rise to the challenge of your quarterback just riding your ass, okay? And that's what he did, and that's why they became such great friends. Because if you came through for Peyton, like, he loved you, and he could trust you. And that's what happened with Demaryius. So on the field, off the field, I got a zillion stories. The behind-the-scenes stuff that he had done for multiple people, multiple charities, his own causes, just being kind to people. He signed every autograph. He talked to people. Like when you just see him somewhere, he would talk to you. This is very rare because there's a lot of times those guys in public, and I get it, they're busy and stuff like that, but Demaryius would take the time. He would take the time to be a human being, Bloom.
Yeah.
How many guys can we say that about? So I could go on and on with the stories, but that's my Demaryius Thomas take. Always good to me, always such a kind person, and will be so very missed by Broncos country. Now the Broncos win 38-10, one sweep here, because it's the Lions. They didn't do much, but Craig Reynolds activated off the practice squad. Hey, if you played at Kutztown, there's one other player I can think of that played at Kutztown who
Josh
made
Reed.
Okay, so two, because there is a play in Super Bowl history, one of the biggest plays ever, Super Bowl 32, when John Mobley knocks away the pass from Brett Favre, and that was the end of the game. John Mobley from Kutztown ended the game.
Andre Reed, my God.
Andre Reed.
It's because I'm in Louisiana and the LSU vibrations overtake my brain. Andre Reed. Andre Reed. My mind, I was so like, sorry, Bills fans. No, Andre Reed. Andre Reed.
Before
oh
LSU?
My God. I'm so sorry, Bills fans. Andre Reed. Reed.
I'm so sorry, Lions fans, because you have to watch this garbage team. Khalif Raymond, revenge game for Khalif. I like Khalif too. He was here with Demaryius. One touchdown. Josh Reynolds 3 for 52 in this one. Then the backfield, Melvin Gordon returns, and then he gets his full starter's workload. 24 for 111 and 2 touchdowns. No Javonte Williams. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Javonte Williams 15 for 73 and 1 touchdown, and then 1 for 10 and a receiving touchdown. Alberto Cuebunam, who's the better tight end here, got the other receiving touchdown. Not much from Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, or Cortland Sutton. Even at a game against the Lions, and even in a game where they won by winning, and they won by 28 points. And there was nothing there for the receivers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to talk about Demaryius.
Yeah, let's do that.
And then wanted to go over this game and one. I mean, it's the Lions and Broncos. Who gets that?
And Yes, and I think that's an important note to hit. And we're going to go a little over our target time, Cease, but I think it's worth it for Bebe. Before we get into the game, I want to talk about this too, because again, part of the reason I'm naming the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominees for each team is we don't take enough time to just recognize when people are just great human beings. Mm-hmm. They just lift your spirits when you're around them. You're in a better mood when you're around them. And obviously, see, we've been doing this for a long time. I know you don't pay attention to Twitter. I may pay attention a little more than I should. But you could see from the reaction of NFL players, everybody who ever played with him, everybody, no matter, even if they just played with him for a season or less than a season.
Julian Edelman said, I knew him for 4 weeks and he impacted my life.
He touched everybody. He touched a joy to be around. And see, so you know why Peyton Manning didn't intimidate him? Because of what he had to overcome just to keep his head together and be alive and have something to call his own. Forget about football. Read his story. Read his story on the Players Tribune. It's so touching. Read his story. It was published by ESPN. What he had to overcome just to get out and be something in the world, anything.
Right.
Conquering football is nothing compared to that. And he carried it with joy. With joy. He wasn't bitter. He wasn't angry at anybody. Mm-mm. A beautiful, loving soul gone too soon. What did Billy Joel sing, Cease? Only the good die young. So how do we go to football? By the way, a moving tribute as the Denver sends out 10 players for the first offensive play, takes a delay of game penalty, 88 up on the scoreboard.
And Cortland Sutton was the guy out, and Sutton and DT were so tight.
Yeah.
So tight.
And the Lions decline. Dan Campbell, we love you, man. The Lions decline the penalty. And then you saw every time there was a big play, Cease, where they go, they take the football over to the 88. Mm-hmm. So maybe, and Teddy's a wonderful spiritual leader for this team to have in this moment where maybe they can draw in some power from an all-time Bronco and an all-time great human being. Jason Kabinda and Justin Simmons, who had to play the game with his diving interception. Mm-hmm. Man of the Year, Walter Payton, Man of the Year nominees. Where's Jamar Jefferson? Not to the football stuff. Where's Jamar Jefferson? Craig Reynolds. Did you know this? His nickname is Netflix. You know why his nickname is Netflix?
Because he got him off the couch.
Because they got him off the couch. Not my couch, but the couch. You got to love to see. Anytime a guy with a nickname Netflix makes things happen, we're going to talk about him on the Waiver Wire Show. You made the Waiver Wire Show. Forget about making the NFL. You made the Audible Waiver Wire Show. I'm on the Ross St. Brown getting some catches there. Godwin Igwebuike fumbles. So I don't know. We're going to see the door shut there. Maybe Jamar Jefferson, Arizona next week. And then was the running backs. Well, you knew if it was a good game script, Pat Shermer would keep running the ball. And he did. And Melvin Gordon looked great, finding a renaissance in his career this year. Thanks to his mama. And Javonte Williams, yes, leave Javonte Williams in your lineup every week going forward. And that was it because they got the touchdowns. And next week, it's a quasi-playoff game. Again, Denver, Cincinnati. Think of it as a playoff game. We're there, Cease. We're at that point in the season. Can't wait.
Cannot wait. And I don't want to be rude, Bloom, but I'm checking on my daughter's flight.
Yes.
As she's coming back into Denver.
How can we capture this last game anyway?
Yeah, well, yeah. And
the ending of this game was also delayed. There's your theme.
Yeah, I want to give this game its just due. I'm just going to check on Katerina's flight because I have to go to the airport. It takes about 45 minutes to get there. Anyway, so this last game, and I saved it for last and not the Broncos. It's a Broncos show. Not this time, though, because, oh, my God, that is this is the game that you wanted to see. So, it should be fine. Let's do our normal thing, Bloom. Here, and let's give the proper amount of time to Buccaneers and the Bills. 33-27, the final score. My God, this game. And it was over. I went in here to the studio, and I just started writing about the Mile High Monday on DenverFan.com. And then I jump on with you, and you're like, ooh, the Bills pulled it even. I was like, oh, I've been writing for 30 minutes. What happened? Well, Josh Allen's what happened. 12 for 109 and a touchdown. 2 touchdowns passing. 308 through the air. 7 for 74 for Stephon Diggs. Cole Beasley, 9 for 64. Dawson Knox, 7 for 60 and a touch. Gabriel Davis, 5 for 43 and a touch. And none of the running backs do much of anything because, well, it's Buffalo. But They almost did it, Bloom. They almost did it, taking it to overtime.
Yeah. Harrison Phillips for Buffalo, Mike Evans for Tampa, and for the teams not playing today, see, so I'm just going to go over these real quick. Kelvin Beachum, former Steeler for Arizona, Jimmy Graham for Chicago, Aaron Jones, El Paso represent, UTEP two-step, for Green Bay, Kenny Moore for Indy, Andrew Whitworth for the Rams, Jerome Baker for Miami, Anthony Barr for Minnesota, Lawrence Guy for New England, Jason Kels, finally, we're going to announce, is it Kelsey? Is it Kels? It could be either one. And for the Steelers, winding up Cease, Cameron Hayward. Rest in peace, Ironhead Hayward, one of my favorite Pitt Panthers growing up. Our Walter Payton Man of the Year Award nominees. What a game. What a game. Well, Buffalo didn't have a running game, but there's a good excuse because it's Tampa. Why run the ball against Tampa? Oh, no, wait. They had Josh Allen, who had over 100 yards. As a runner, you had a few good runs there from Devin Singletary. And you had a miserable first half for Buffalo. This game was out of hand. And even though they lost, I know there's no moral victories, right? I don't know. In this one, now I know the Bills fall to 7-6, but again, 10 wins for sure gets you in the AFC. And Buffalo has the schedule luck. I don't know if I'd call it luck because they played some tough teams. They still have Carolina, then they play New England, Atlanta, and the Jets. And the Carolina, Atlanta, and Jets games are all at home. So you just need to beat these teams at home, and you're going to go to the playoffs. And now, see, they didn't win, but they know in a hostile environment against a really good team, capital R, capital G, they can hang. Even when things aren't going their way, they can figure it out and they can hang. That's what they couldn't do against Kansas City last year. They shrunk on that stage. They did not shrink. Josh Allen did not shrink in this one. Emmanuel Sanders had a knee injury, so for fantasy, that could clarify things. Because what do you see with Emmanuel Sanders with the knee injury? Now they're all good plays. Gabriel Davis, Dawson Knox, of course, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, the zone beater against the Tampa zone defense. And Josh Allen, see, you could always see it all the way back at Wyoming. He will put the team on his shoulders. And when things aren't going well, he presses. He tries to do too much. But he goes down trying to make it happen for his team. And when it's working, well, it's beautiful. And Tampa, they were congratulating each other on the sidelines. I don't know if they literally were doing that, but they felt like they had this game locked up. And Buffalo rattled off 2 touchdowns in about a 5-minute span in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden Tampa got real alert and said, oh no, you can never give up against this guy. You can never assume the game is over against this guy, Josh Allen. And I think even though it was a loss, it was the kind of game that in those moments in the playoffs that you know are going to happen, you have to have belief in self. I think this can do that. And there was some back and forth in overtime. And Buffalo, they had some chances. They weren't able to do it. Even at the end of the game, they had the ball inside the 10. The touchdown would have won the game. It didn't work out that way. We'll talk about how it ended. But it's about as valuable as a loss can be. And remember, Buffalo knows Tom Brady. They're pretty familiar with this guy, Tom Brady. So, yes, they lose to Tom Brady in this one. But they say, if we meet again, we know we can play with you, and we aren't just going to chalk up the first half. Now, the defense, on the other hand, the defense may have more questions than the offense. No questions for Tampa. This team is it's Bruce Arians, man. They're just cool as a cucumber, Yeah. That's what happens when you have a ring, but they aren't dropping off of that level that they played at to win that ring.
And Buffalo, just be like Bon Jovi and keep the faith. Tom Brady, 363, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, and a rushing touchdown because he's Tommy Brady. Leonard Fournette, 19 for 133 and a touch. Chris Godwin, 10 for 105. Mike Evans, 6 for 91. Rob Gronkowski, 5 for 62. And then in overtime, it is Brashad Perriman, 1 for 58 and a touch. Close the door. And don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, Buffalo.
Yeah. On a day when it's the Penny brothers and Josh Gordon, of course it's Brashad Perriman with the walk-off touchdown. How I was looking at Laquan Treadwell. I should have been looking at Brashad Perriman all along. Where's Kevin White when we need him, right? Redemption stories. Leonard Fournette looks great. Speaking of redemption stories, it was the NFL. So here's some running back. James Conner. Oops. Someone should have given him a bigger contract. Leonard Fournette. Oops. There's a lot of teams that probably said, nah, to Leonard Fournette this offseason, and, well, they're realizing how wrong they were. Long touchdown run to open. Buffalo's run defense is bad. Buffalo has no running game, and their run defense wilts. That's a problem. Maybe Josh Allen can overcome it. Rob Gronkowski doing Rob Gronkowski things. Chris Godwin gobbling up all those short and intermediate catches. Mike Evans touchdown catch. I'm afraid Randy Gregory gets one of the plays of the game. Myles Garrett. I'm stumbling over my words, Cease, because there were so many. We're getting to that point in the season, the Crucible. So many amazing individual plays. So when two good teams get together, it can be these incredible individual plays where an individual like George Kittle just says, "No, I'm going to decide how this game goes today." I don't know. That's Tom Brady. Yeah, it's kind of Tom Brady. He still got it. Tampa still got it. New Orleans is coming, though. New Orleans knows a thing or two about humbling Tom Brady as they try to keep their season alive. So what does it mean, Cease? We got a game going on now. We got a game tomorrow night. Excellent game tomorrow night. We could start all over again. But we need to remember that what we really come back for are the human beings. The human beings like Demaryius Thomas.
Very well said. And thank you all for watching here on the Audible. Make sure to do those YouTube things, like, comment, share, subscribe, notification bell, never miss a vid, blah, 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 blah. Just be good. Be good out there. Be good. You won. You're in the fantasy playoffs. Great. Awesome. Be a good person. Interact with people. And just like we learned another painful lesson, you never know what somebody's going through behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So if you lead with kindness and grace in everything that you do, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, I'm far from it, but I try to do those things because you never know when that cashier or whoever you're interacting with, the lady behind you at the grocery store, you don't know what these people are going through health-wise, mental-wise, family-wise, just life-wise. So kindness and grace and patience. And we appreciate you all for watching this show, for listening to the Audible, and for checking out footballguys.com. He's Sigmund. I'm Cecil. We are the Audible. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned and stay frosty.